guess what, people?
Yeah.
The first briefing of the year. It is Wednesday, January the 3rd. And if it's Wednesday, it's time for the weekly briefing,
That's right.
which means Tim and I, we carve out a half hour each week to bring all of you creative types and business types together and share what's going on. What do you need to know? What's everyone talking about, or what's a trend or something we're seeing behind the scenes? And Tim, I'm just going to mention right now to everybody that at some point we're going to do a test and actually run the weekly briefing inside RevCommunity, inside the Circle platform, because we all have enough Zoom in our life, and we think there's going to be some big benefits. We're not doing that quite yet, but that will be coming. So Tim, Happy New Year. What's the good word from Los Angeles?
It's things are well in Los Angeles, I gotta say. It's been a good year so far. And I'll tell you all publicly, because I can finally say it. I found out I'm gonna be a grandfather over the break. So it's been a brilliant year so far. This will be
There we go.
yeah, fireworks everywhere. That's exactly how I feel, by the way.
That's amazing.
Have fun.
Congratulations, Tim. That's crazy.
Thank you. It's a new season for the Thompson household, so we're excited to be part of that. And so, as many things, all we all have to do, I have to go back to work so I can be an awesome grandfather and spoil my kids. So thank you all for allowing me to do that as well.
Yeah, speaking of work, some of you know that the Jumpstart waitlist is now officially open. So if you're inside the community, you probably saw that post. There's already like 15 people on the wait list, Tim, which is very cool. So I think a lot of people have an appetite for, New Year and resolutions and all that kind of thing. So there's only 10 seats that we will announce enrollment soon. But in my experience, not everybody on the wait list signs up. So hopefully if you want a seat, you can get in. Tim, speaking of going back to work, everyone is staring at a giant thing called 2024.
Yeah.
And they look at last year, right? And we all look at our numbers and we always say, well, how did we do last year? And then this year we're going to do better, right? We're going to do bigger. We're going to whatever. But then if you're a studio owner, you're staring at that giant number and it's like this big elephant. And I'm going to take you to task and say, Tim, how are we going to eat this elephant?
Yeah, I feel it. Like when I get on I've already gotten on calls for 2024 with clients, right? And I can feel it's a very first pressing issue, which I've joked, and where the title, The Perfect Score, came from, is that everybody has a perfect sales score at this moment because very little has been necessary in 2024 and is expected to be in 2024. But as the days tick, where we're 3 days into the year, the pressure's building. We have to start getting that revenue in, and we feel that pressure right now of where's it going to come from, because we're at zero and our goals are in the millions. How do we get to 1 million opportunities right now from ground zero? And where do we start? We often start just looking backwards or wishful thinking, but there are some systematic ways to get these targets out of your brain, make this scorecard, and then start working yourself through the process, generating leads, qualifying leads, finding the right price, and then getting those numbers in-house. And of course, then responding to it as we've learned month after month through the process.
Well, I'm going to sort of vicariously pretend to be all the owners here that are probably skeptical, right? We're all saying, well, sure, we hope this new year is going to be better than last year, because last year was definitely challenging. So where do we begin? And what I know is, back in my days when I was running Impossible, Tim, that January was always nerve-wracking because everyone was we don't have our budget yet. It's quiet. We don't know. We're waiting for approvals. And I'm like watching the clock tick and making payroll every 2 weeks and thinking, okay, are the jobs going to start hitting in February? Are they going to start hitting in March? And by the time February and March came around, I was in full-on panic. So help me. How can I go into this year with a different mindset that is perhaps more productive than panic?
And I'm going to show you what you can do in 30 minutes. And I know you can do it in 30 minutes because I just did this with a client in 30 minutes. And the goal here, again, is to just get you in the mindset and the thought process of what it's going to take for you to be successful and achieve your financial goals for this year. For me, starting off with clients at the beginning of the year, I want to know that we have some sense of security of where this revenue is going to come from. So as we identify it, and then we do things like the factors method, and we do the splits, and we understand what our revenue and project goals or project targets are going to be, we have a sense of how close are we as we make this annual projection. So I use a tool to get those numbers out of my client's head and get them onto paper to understand what we do know, and what the gap is between what we know and what we're trying to accomplish.
Okay, so this little hack that you're sharing, this is an actual real world thing. This isn't just a cute theory. You actually just use this.
I use it all the time.
I like I like that, because I want to know that, right? It's been somewhat battle tested, right?
Yeah. And of course, we want to keep it as simple as possible, right? This is not some heavy technical thing. I'm just going to walk you through the method of how to get there, what the scorecard looks like. We actually call it a bingo card because we think it represents, a good old fashioned bingo card and what we're trying to accomplish in our goals. But it starts right here. I ask my client to give me, or you guys can output out of QuickBooks, your revenue from last year. I ask for a report that says, tell me the revenue by client for the whole year, and in summary. So that's what I got here. I started with that, copied and pasted it. This is obviously a made up scenario, but copied and pasted it, and I sorted it by revenue. So my top clients, my highest earning clients are the top, and the rest of them kind of trickle down. One of the very first things I do is this thing called a running total. And a running total is very easy. I'm just going to add up the revenue from the top down to understand where the bulk of our money comes from, or how many clients. So I'm first just going to take this, and all I do is add the previous balance and the same cell below. So 311 plus 289 equals 600,000. If I pull it down one more, it's 797 and so on. So I can have this running total now all the way down this list.
Okay.
So
I'm tracking with you.
Yeah. If I also do this by percentage, which is just simply, that the running total divided by the total revenue. And I'm just going to teach you a couple of Excel hacks, but if you put dollar signs, it kind of locks that cell in there. You can see now where 50% of our revenue for this group right here comes from this group of clients.
Whoa.
So it's a little dark. But I just wanted to see, like, half of the revenue is coming from 1, 2, 3, 5 clients in this case. So that's great. If I scroll down a little bit more to, let's say, around the 80% number, I get another sense of what that looks like. I'll make this a slightly different color.
There you go. Man after my own heart.
Yeah. And then the 90% mark and so on. What I like about this, when I kind of look at it this way now, I can see that really I have to keep 5 clients happy, and half of my revenue is locked in. So I might want to ask myself a question, right now, is how likely is it to repeat these numbers year over year? And if so, I can make myself notes of, like, this 300,000 is going to become 200,000 next year and so on. And just, start looking through this process already of just like, what am I looking at? How do I understand this revenue and what it might be next year? But at least this is just looking at your report and analyzing in a simple way. How many clients do I need to get half my revenue? How many clients do I need to get 80% of my revenue? The other thing you'll notice on your list is all of this stuff down here. We're at 95%, 99%, and there's still people showing up in this list. We clearly don't need clients. This last chunk of work that this company did, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 clients. They did 8 projects at least and managed 8 clients when it only took 5 clients to earn 50% of the revenue. So this idea of, like, qualified clients or ones that are just not going to give you the ROI, and to not put effort into and not target the effort of trying to win these clients back. I'm not saying that those projects won't return to you. They probably will. And these clients, they know you exist and will come back to you. And of course, you keep all clients warm and you do what you need to on social media. But to focus sales effort into this, or to think that a $12,000 win is equal to, what you really need for your company, and worrying about, is that $12,000 going to come in? Am I going to capture it? I'm going to collect the accounts receivable for it, blah, blah, blah. You really start realizing that, to be honest, this client right here, if I was working with this company, I'd say you should make a minimum engagement of 25,000. And
For
if you
sure.
do this work, you would have a lot of free time to make these clients more happy and probably get more revenue from that package of clients. And
Yeah, I'm thinking of the old saying, don't major in the minors, or don't get stuck minoring in the majoring in the minors. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, because it's really interesting to think about, like, if you just focus on it, for sure, the 80%. If you said we're going to put all of our sales effort either into those specific clients or at least those categories, because see, I'm seeing retail, tech, media, etc. And I'm saying, man, if I just focus on that and crush my 80%, everything else is probably going to show up, is where my head is going.
Yeah, exactly. And you actually pulled out something else, Joel. It's like you can start really seeing where your big money is earned. So you might have some banking clients and saying, oh, I need to expand banking and get some banking revenue in that part of the industry. You're like, well, most of your money is being earned in tech, media, and retail. Why spread yourself out? Why not take Samsung up instead of worrying about banking, or find other areas that are more in your wheelhouse and invest in those areas, in the technology in that area and the skill to get that work done in that area, than spreading yourself out thin across this, every industry, everywhere, all the time, everyone, kind of thinking like, no, you don't have to. Let's get some specific ideas of who you should work with, strategic ways of reaching out to them, getting them to repeat their engagement with you, and increase the revenue that you've generated with them year over year. So you're working less for the same money, or working less or even more money. That's what we're looking at. And we all know that every client that you bring on takes another kind of big lift, where adding another project for the same client is not as difficult. So that repeatability is really important for your long-term health and engagement and growth.
All right. Did anyone else here notice this? Tim, if you look at those top 5, I see retail, tech. So that's also interesting, because I've got 2 categories that probably make up almost half of my revenue. That's just really interesting. I'm like, wow, okay. What other brands in retail and tech am I not working with, or that are down below that I can potentially upgrade? Because obviously I'm crushing it in that category.
Right. Or is there a repeating category that I'm not really investing in? You're exactly right. So to not just do it by name, but look at it by category, you can ask yourself some better questions of, what are my sales targets? How do I understand them? And what's the best strategic approach? But here I'm basically saying, like, let's now take what we know and put it somewhere. So let's grab these clients that we have, that we know exist, and let's start figuring out how many of these projects we need, or what our targets are. So one thing I like to look at is a scorecard like this. And I have 3 different ways of looking at an approach with these clients. But this is the first one. It's the easiest one. And I'm just asking myself a question. What are the level of projects that we often get? 25, 30s, 50s, 100s, 250s, along those lines. And then I'm asking, like, how often do these projects come in? Like, do we get 2 $25,000 projects a month? Maybe one $30,000 project a month. We get every quarter, we get 2 $50,000 projects. And then annually we'll get 2 $100,000 projects and one $250,000 project. Just by this way I built this spreadsheet, and the way this works, just by looking at the total number of these projects here, which is 8 total projects, and looking how often those projects come in, I get a sense from my sales team, the effort they should put into, and how often they need to go after $25,000 projects. But look at how easy that is to just say, like, hey, identifying these clients, and the frequency of those clients, this is $1.8 million in revenue.
But Tim,
So
you know what's funny
yeah,
is, and this is just full disclosure. So Tim hasn't shared with me this latest rendition of the bingo card. So this is new to me, and I'm looking at this and then going, damn, that's really cool, because it's so simple now. When I think about, I go to my salesperson and I say, look, you got to get 2 of those 25ers a month. And that person is going to say, oh, okay. Because that's going to generate 600. Oh, okay. Like, that's very actionable.
yeah. And what I'm trying to do is, like, we all know that moment in Pipedrive or whatever our CRM is, and we just have a list of names. They're spread out, and we have them tracked on how they're engaging us, how close they are to an engagement, and what the total price is going to be that we're going to possibly engage them for. But I want to ask the question more critically of, like, do I need all of these, or which are the targets that are more likely and less likely? So when I put my hours into it, my effort into it, my follow through, I'm actually going for the ones that will get me the win and be willing to let things go. I'm also
Well,
trying
this
to,
is,
oh, go ahead. Yeah.
well, I was just going to say, yeah, because if I'm in being my former owner, I want those 250s so bad. And I'm so focused on, I want to get 3 or 4 of those 250 this year, but I might put all my energy into that and get through the year and have 0 250s and have spent all my energy chasing those big fish that never land.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, you could ask the question of, like, what if we usually get 1 250. What if we just got a second one? Like, start putting some real ideas of, can I identify 2 people that are going to give me a $250,000 project, or 2 clients that'll be worth 250 over a 12-month period. Right now we have 12 months to do it. If you wait till September and start asking that question, before the end of the year, you have such a limited amount of time. But right now you can really strategize who those clients are and how we're going to get there. I was also going to say that something like this really gets rid of that sales banter that happens in every sales meeting. That, if you ask me, I honestly, like, I just can't stand it. And it's the one where everyone's chiming in on what leads they have, as if the name of a lead is all they need to bring. Like, well, I have a lead at Adobe. I have a lead over at at CNN. You're like, well, those leads don't get me anything, and you're just kind of wasting my time. Please only bring to the table, instead of just the talk of the leads, of, like, what projects are you identifying in this month that are $25,000? What projects you're identifying in this quarter that are going to be $50,000? Talk to me about that on all this entire grid that you're tracking. And I'm glad that you have all those leads, but tell me in my sales meeting how close we are to making this a reality, this part of reality. And
This is where, like, I was on a call today and we were inside Pipedrive, and I was like, hey, everybody, I don't really care about the left side of this pipeline. Let's talk about the right side and then work our way backwards, because, like you, Tim, I'm like, I don't really care about all these leads. Like,
yeah.
on the right, I see deals. I see we're about to close that 25, that 30, that 50. But that's, of course, that's me being the pretending to be the grumpy owner who's only concerned about cash.
And it also, like, it throws you off, doesn't it? When you're looking at what looks like a large volume, because there's a lot of names, and your imagination says, I should win all of these, but you're not going to. It's better to say strategically, which ones should I be going for? What's the better use of my time and effort in trying to win these projects, and which of these clients are going to be ones that give us better returns, that they'll come back once a quarter, twice a year, that kind of work, instead of, okay, you have a lead for $6,000 that has no potential future gain from us for the company, and a client that won't repeat itself. Can't we just admit we don't need that in comparison to our $25,000 minimum, if that's what we're running? And I know we're giving kind of large numbers, but everyone has that scale and everyone has those tipping points, and you should just know what those are. So this is one way to look at it. This is just the most simple way to just think numbers, and you can almost keep these numbers in your head and not repeat it. You have to go back to it. Here's another way of looking at it. And this one here, what I did is to say, like, in quarter 1, how many $20,000 projects are we going to win? And this one is, 4 a month. So it's 12 and a quarter. We're going to win 435. So this is the same kind of idea, just expanded out and on a quarter by quarter basis, looking at left to right. But over here, you'll see, like, I'm expecting to win one $100,000 project in each quarter. And I'm asking myself, well, do we know the name of, let's put a name next to that. So we have a target for that $100,000 lead also. So just to expand, what's in your head? How do you imagine it? How are you going to get to those numbers? What are the goals or your targets for each quarter, month, year? And then what's the total looking like? So that as you build out your factors report and your annual budget, how close are you? And what's the gap between what you know and what we need to fill in? So that's what this one is. It's just number of clients by quarter, looking at it that way. The last one where I find a lot of clients want to go is something that looks like this. It's actually, to me, not the most productive when it comes to actually managing a sales team, but I get why people want to get down to this detail. This is almost translating what's in a pipe drive system and a CRM system onto a grid to say, yeah, but tell me exactly what those numbers are, how we're going to get there.
Right. Who,
Yeah,
Tim, who's going to write me that check?
yeah. The reason why I don't use this initially is that we actually we're not that great at putting in like a $50,000 person in Q4 this year. We, in our mind, just says, that's too crystal ball. And so you don't believe this, this grid all of a sudden, and you kind of go like, why? It's just imagination anyway. And you're like, yeah, no, you're right. It's simply imagination. But if there are clients that you do know that repeat themselves quarter by quarter, always in the same category, you have an engagement with them, every year, the same thing. This is just starting to map that thing out. And I can kind of imagine doing this in a way where this is actually like a bingo card now. And this is where the name comes from, is that you start realizing, oh, I have these repeatable clients. I just need to fill in the gap. So
Right.
the things that we do know, don't try to fill in the whole thing now, but understand what the need is. And that's the job of this year. That would be so awesome for your sales team to know very specifically the target, the person, and the quarter you're trying to aim for that client to come in. And it's really good for your revenue projection to know if you're going to get that client or a client in that category or not. So where I would use this, and I have used this, is really to start really filling in that bingo card to say, okay, great. Tell me the names and brands you're going to go with, or this could be a person's name too, right? This could be Chuck or Jill or whatever too. Like if you know someone's name that you're going to go after and they're going to have a project size for you, whatever details you want to in here. But start using this like that bingo card and fill in these blanks. This to me is the beginning of the process.
Right. If you are advising me, Tim, I would immediately be saying, yeah, wait a minute. I'm looking at last year where I have Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. And some of that information, some of those jobs are going to repeat. So why not go ahead and tentatively drop those in here? And then there's some that are kind of likely, and certainly by category. Like, are we going to do a retail job in the spring? Yeah, of course. I don't know that it's going to be Target again, but it's going to be somebody, because in the spring is when they prepare for the big summer push, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
so there's thought like that, right? And then you have some blanks, and that's where you have to get creative, and that's the creative sales mind starts to do its work.
Yeah, you could do it by
category.
Yeah, category as well, and say, you know what, I usually get 3 tech projects or 2 entertainment jobs at this time, and 1 retail. You're exactly right, Joel. Whatever kind of comes out of your mind, I just wanted to create a grid so I can talk to my sales team or talk to a business owner and say, tell me what's inside your brain that we can get out, that we know we have some sense and some security of what's going to be at play. And we have a way of measuring the progress we're making this year against that. So if I'm going to use this for revenue projection so that I can do the direct and indirect splits for all projects, I want to know after the first quarter, how close are we to this revenue projection, just based off of what we did in Q1 and at the beginning of Q2, projecting for the next 3 months. So we have almost half a year under our belt in projections and knowing I'm on or off with my splits. I can make adjustments in a proactive way before I get underwater and too reactionary.
Okay, so if I'm going to try and land the plane here, I'm inferring everyone's brains here. I think where people's brains are going is, yeah, cool. What do I actually do with this? Like, is this my report and I open it up weekly and we all have a meeting and we stare at this thing? Or is this simply to give us a sense of where things are going, and then we define sort of our roles and responsibilities and routines that we're going to follow? Like, how would you actually start putting this into action?
Yeah, so the reason why I made this so simple and interactive is so that I can actually just kind of take it and put it somewhere to begin with. So these are the hooks to hang the hat on, right? Just get me the information to start with. My big takeaway, step one is how close am I to that revenue projection? What's my big grand total I'm looking at right here? And is that, half of what I want for the year? I'm looking at this, and this seems very simple and very obvious to me. And this is one half of my $3 million goal for the year. Okay, now I know what my real job is to find the other $1.5 million. And for me, that gives me a lot of relief. If I thought January 3rd, I have to find 3 million, oh man, are you kidding me? But all of a sudden to get this out and go like, oh wait, half of it's already found. I'm just looking for the other half. I need to find one more $30,000 client this quarter. I need to find 2 more in next quarter. Well, where are those clients? I know my history. I have them in my CRM. I'll start finding them. I'll start liking them on social media, and I'll start targeting them in my marketing to see if I can't warm them up or understand where they would fall. So it gives me that action plan. The other thing it does is it really kind of puts me forward in a financial situation so that I can look at annual sales and start saying no to the right projects and start saying yes to the right projects. So as I decide what I want to do this year and how I'm going to grow the company and investments I want to make, let's say I'm starting a 2D team. I want to look at these clients and say, wow, if I start making choices based off of what I can see here, I only need, a handful of clients. Maybe this is the right time to start introducing this new team member to clients I already have and see if I can't generate more revenue, better leads, more capability with the same group of people. Marketing, sales, meetings, presentations, capability presentations all now have a purpose because they're helping me fulfill this goal.
Well, now I feel like everyone just said, wait, we're going to say no? It's only January the 3rd. We're going to say no to work? Are you crazy?
Yeah. Well, that's the glory that you can do right now because you have a lot of time to make up for it and find the right leads. Of course, this has to, we're always taking this on the flip side and dealing with cash flow, but I'm talking about here like managing sales expectations. And I really want to reduce any of that banter that says, hey, salesperson, go get everybody. Anybody is fine. All is good. Look everywhere. It's an impossible task. It's not specific. It's not strategic, and it doesn't really benefit the company that way. But if I can get some clear goals, then my team knows what I'm expecting from them, how often I'm expecting it. Then they can get to work and help me fill in those blanks. Now we're working together. I have opportunity and time to help them generate those leads. They have opportunity and time to find the leads. We can come together and more frequently hit our goal. And I'll say like, well, this is where I've seen most people's revenue grow is they got specific with their targets.
And I was just thinking about like the curse for all small creative companies is by speaking to everyone, we're speaking to no one, right? If I have this data, I'm looking at what I did last year, I'm creating a version of it for this year in the future, I start to have some confidence called, I think we can just be who we are and own it and not apologize for it. and be specific, right? Be unique, be sticky and original. And instead of like, oh my God, it's January 3rd, where's all this money going to come from? Just go get it all.
Yeah.
You salesperson, you.
Like what Justin just said too. Justin just said it's really great for strategizing inbound so that we're not just because someone called us, we don't say they love us. We should say yes, that you're actually being specific and targeting and understanding how the inbound sales meet those revenue goals. I'd almost want to say this: if you had an expectation of three $50,000 projects in this quarter, and there's two more coming inbound, you desperately want to take on that extra $100,000. Of course, you're going to do it, but you should recognize: are you giving up a $250,000 lead because you're putting all your effort into these two $50,000 leads? And that's what you have to start realizing is effort wise, I need to put my effort in that last big project. And that's where it's going to come from. Not five $50,000 projects. It's not the same as one 250.
Right.
If you want that 250, you have to not do a bunch of 2,500s, you know?
So Tim, can we share this bingo card as a shareable resource?
You know, I'm going to share it. I give away all the good stuff I have. I'm going to put this in the community. I'll just put it in the discussion forum. The way it'll work is you'll follow the link and it will generate a copy for you automatically. So you can make a copy for yourself. Feel free to use it. Just speak well of me when you are making all that money.
Right. I'm just going to put a link here. If you're not a member of the community, that's where you can go to join. If you're a member, then you already know how to get in there, and you're just going to drop it in the general discussion, Tim.
Yeah, I'll put a general discussion.
Okay, beautiful. That was fun. I'm inspired to think of everybody here that's starting to, like, their brains are being tickled and they're starting to think about how they're going to fill in their bingo card. And I think, move forward with some sense of confidence. That's, I think, so priceless for everyone here, is to really have a strong sense of how the year is going to unfold. So let's go create the future.
Let's create the future. And your team will love you for it. They're waiting for you to get specific. They want to know that you're backing them up. So congratulations to you on building this thing out, and go get it. We want to be with you every step of the way. So let's make it happen.
Yep. Tim and I are here to support our industry. We are huge fans of our industry and we love all you guys. So please say hi in the community, drop in and join Tim's thread. And there's all kinds of other cool stuff going on there. So be on the lookout. We're probably going to be sending an email to everybody here shortly and keeping you abreast of what's happening inside the community, events, announcements, all that kind of good stuff. And let's just say there's a lot we have planned. So
there's a lot. Be ready. Fasten your seat. Here we go. It's going to be a great year.
It's going to be a great year.
Yeah.
So thanks for being here, everyone. We will see you around the community or in next week's briefing. And maybe next week, Tim, we can pull this off and we'll do it inside the community. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, we'll do it.
See.
Sounds great.
All right. Thanks, everyone. See you next week.
Happy New Year.